I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the disappearance of a mother of 5, Crystal Rogers. Investigators believe she was murdered, although despite extensive searches, they still have not found her. Here's the story. In July of 2015, Crystal Rogers, a 35-year-old mother of 5 from Bardstown, Kentucky, vanished without a trace. Her maroon Chevy Impala was discovered abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway with a flat tire and her personal belongings, including her purse and cell phone, left inside. Despite extensive searches and investigations, Rogers remained missing, and the case grew cold. Then, in a significant development, September of 2023, the arrest of Joseph Lawson, 32 years old, charged with conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence related to Rogers' disappearance. The indictment suggested Lawson's involvement in planning and concealing the crime. Shortly thereafter, Brooks Houck, Rogers' former boyfriend and the last person known to have seen her, was arrested and charged with her murder and evidence tampering. Houck had been a primary suspect since the early stages of the investigation. In December of 2023, Stephen Lawson, Joseph's father, was also indicted on charges of conspiracy to commit murder, indicating an even broader conspiracy. This is some case a long time in the making, and things are moving along. The wheels are moving slowly in this one. It took a long time to even get to an arrest, and now there have been arrests. It is taking some time for the litigation to take place, all the pre-trial litigation or pre-trials litigation in this one. One of the issues involves a couple of hairs. 2 strands of hair that were found in Crystal's Chevy Impala, right? So her Chevy is abandoned, her stuff is inside, there's a flat tire, they find the car. In the car, apparently, are 2 strands of hair. There were some arguments in court about testing that hair. Take a listen.
And once we learned the hair's lengths and the colors of the hair, which one hair was approximately 8 inches, the other was approximately 12 inches. And the hair was a brown tan that had been chemically treated, which usually comes along with female, the majority of the time females. That is not...
You don't think I color my hair?
Well, that's why I look like I do. But they're not going to belong to either Mr. Lawson or Mr. Lawson's son.
And in the future, we're going to ask the court to strike that from the record if he ever makes such claims again in the future.
Judge, we would also ask counsel to not file motions at 4 in the morning before the hearing and abide by the court rules.
We would ask that, Judge, that they not find hair on May 25th.
Let me see you two up there. Come on.
Getting a little testy inside the courtroom, but the judge is going to apparently allow the defense's request to test the hairs themselves before the next scheduled hearing. Prosecutors, as you heard, did not want to test the hair that was found in the victim's car, which brings us to the first question in our investigation. Whose hair is it? You know, a lot of times there's a case involving a man named Scott Peterson. There was 1 hair found in his boat. It belonged to his wife, who never was near that boat, and it convicted him. Sometimes 1 hair makes a huge difference. Long Island serial killer case. We're talking about strands of hair. So let's get to the bottom of this. Joining us, DNA expert, top genetic genealogist. She's done groundbreaking work in the field that's led to the first convictions and exonerations based on all that. CeCe Moore is with us. And joining us on the phone, private investigator who's worked on this case, Heather Cohen, is with us as well. Okay, CeCe, there's a lot here. 2 strands of hair. What are your first thoughts about these 2 strands of hair and trying to figure out whose it is?
Well, it's a whole new world with DNA evidence, including hair. Whether this is rootless hair or has the root, I don't know. I couldn't find that information. But either way, investigative genetic genealogy could be performed to determine whose hair that is. The prosecution and the judge both seemed to not realize this, or at least wasn't willing to admit it, because they both argued that if there isn't anyone identified to compare it to, that it would be a waste of time and money to test this hair. I'm not sure if the defense has thought about using investigative genetic genealogy to try to identify who that hair contributor is. But this opens a big issue up, because if the prosecution is allowed to use investigative genetic genealogy, like many are across the country and the world, should the defense also be allowed to do that on DNA evidence from a crime scene? In this case, there's no way to know if that hair is actually important to the case or not. The prosecution has stipulated that it doesn't belong to the Lawsons, but what if it does belong to a Lawson family member that they transferred to that car, like we saw in the Rex Heuermann case, where his wife's hair was transferred to the crime scene? This could potentially be important, but the trial is coming up. There's not a lot of time. And if they're allowed to do this, it may cause a delay. And it also starts bringing this up in many, many other cases. The good news is, if it is done more by the defense, we may be able to lessen the amount of wrongful convictions when it is really important DNA evidence like blood or unidentified semen. In this case, I'm not so sure that it would be worthwhile.
And it's, you want to get to the truth. You just want to get to the truth. Like, it could, anything that helps you get to the truth is the purpose, is the absolute purpose of our system of justice. It's the purpose of a trial. Let me ask you a question, though, if it has any impact at all. They mentioned that they believed that one of the chemists said that one of the strands, at least one of the strands, was chemically treated. Does that impact the ability to use that strand of hair to try to identify or match it to someone?
It should not. Now, again, I wasn't able to find whether there was a root attached to this hair or if it was rootless. If there was a root, it is really straightforward. Any crime lab could extract DNA from that, presumably, and then they could perform testing on that. If it is a rootless hair, it really needs to go to that brilliant company, Estrella Forensics, that we talked about 2 days ago. They are the experts in extracting DNA from that type of hair. And I've definitely seen it done on chemically treated hair.
Now, Heather, I want to put something up on the board here, some reporting from our great affiliate WLEX. Attorney Ted Lavitt, who was Stephen Lawson's attorney at the time, Lavitt also said that his client's son, Joseph Lawson, is thought to have driven Crystal Rogers' car to where it was found abandoned in 2015 on the Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown. Lavitt said that Joseph Lawson got a flat tire while on the Bluegrass Parkway, and that Stephen Lawson, that would be his father, picked him up there. Lavitt said he didn't know why Joseph Lawson was driving the car or where he was taking it when it got the flat tire. And we'll take a look at a map so people know where we are talking about, where this is found. We're going to show you two things on this map. First, we're going to show you the Houck family farm, where Crystal was apparently the night of, or before her disappearance, or the night of her disappearance. And we'll show you where her car was found. Her car was left running, so the engine wasn't even turned off when it was found. So that's another interesting fact here. So let's get it back now to the hair. Heather, are you concerned that prosecutors don't necessarily want to know whose hair it is? And do you have any ideas about whose hair it might be?
Well, I think the hair issue opens up, like our expert said, a whole new world. It's dangerous because I think it could end up being a rabbit hole. Now, I know that the expert did mention that there's a lot we can do with DNA, but once we do figure out who it belongs to, then there's the questions of, when did it get there? How did it get there? And I just feel like there's a whole lot of points that are going to be debated, and all it really does in the end is just prolong the process, which Miss Ballard, I feel terrible for her. She's waited for so long just to get here, and I just hate to see it prolonged over a rabbit hole. Now, it could be important. The expert's absolutely right. It could be, but there's also the possibility that it's completely irrelevant, in which, I'd hate to see us waste a whole lot of time on that. But as far as chemically treated hair, if it's not crystals, I would like to propose that it could possibly be Brooks Houck's new girlfriend's hair.
Which, another huge possibility there. So, Cece, can you just give us an idea of timing, right? Because the court is concerned with time with this. We know this has taken a long time. Things have moved slowly, but it's important to get it right in our system as well. How long does it take? Let's say it's rootless hair, okay? So this is rootless hair. How long would the process be in doing whatever examination you do or testing you do on the hair, and then going through the genealogy, trying to figure out who could be connected to this hair?
In my experience, it is not a quick process. It often takes months for that rootless hair to be able to give up the DNA that we need for investigative genetic genealogy. And then once we have that SNP file, is what it's called, and it's uploaded to the 2 databases we're allowed to use, it could be anywhere from half an hour to 5 years. I've had cases that have run the gamut. Yes. So if it is a person of primarily Northwest European ancestry with deep roots in the United States, we have really good representation in those databases. So it's, pretty good chance that person could be identified quickly. But you just never know. If it is someone from a less well-represented population group, it could take years. And so there really is no guarantee. And Heather's absolutely right. It could just prolong things. It might not be related. Anytime you are able to work with more and more sensitive equipment, that means you also have to be more cautious about DNA transfer. This is something that very well could have been transferred to her car, or it could be from something completely unrelated. But like you said, we want the truth. So really, the only way I can think of to fully resolve this is to send that hair out for testing and hire an investigative genetic genealogist to do that work.
All right, Cece Moore, thank you so much. Always appreciate it. Heather's going to stay with us. Coming up next, where is Crystal Rogers?
I've never, from the minute my daughter went missing, thought that she was still alive.
Lori Daybell.
Already convicted for the murders of her children.
Doomsday Cult mom is now lawyer Lori.
She's representing herself.
On charges of conspiring to murder her 4th husband.
She said, I can murder you now.
She really thinks she's equipped to try this case.
She appears very sure of herself.
I have real trial experience.
It's going to be a strange trial. We'll see how it plays out.
The Cult Mom Conspiracy Trial. Live coverage begins Monday morning, only on Court TV.
I've never, from the minute my daughter went missing, thought that she was still alive. My husband told me one time, he said, Sherry, maybe they just took her. I said, well, what do you think they're going to do? Give her back?
That's Crystal's mom, Sherry Ballard. She's been through so much throughout this entire ordeal. Her daughter goes missing. Her husband is trying to find her. He's being very vocal about finding his daughter. He ends up getting shot and killed. So she's lost her husband, she's lost her daughter. Her daughter has 5 children. So here's Sherry Ballard again. Now, Crystal goes missing, right? So everyone's looking for her. Everyone is looking for, where could she possibly be? Take a listen to Sherry Ballard talking about the search for her daughter.
It's such a huge farm that, it takes so long to go through something like that. And just, I guess as a mom, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, gosh, you know, could she still be there? You know, could she still be there? I guess I just, until I find her, I'm just never going to be happy with that farm. I always think that's the last place she was seen. Could she be there and maybe it was overlooked or something? You know, we've searched in the woods numerous times, and we have walked through something and come back by and seen something that we totally missed. So I just always think, I guess, as a mom, I'm going to do that. You know, could something have been missed, you know? So that's what I mean by...
Had your daughter spent much time at that farm?
My daughter was always at that farm. They would go over there and take her little boy and the other kids, and they would roast marshmallows and hot dogs and stuff on that farm.
And she's talking about the Houck family farm, this huge property. Brooks Houck was her former boyfriend, father of her youngest child. And all of this brings us to the next question in our investigation. And I think for Sherry Ballard, it's the most important one. Where is Crystal Rogers? Where is she? She has not been found. They have searched. They absolutely have. Joining us, Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas is with us. Cody, so what do we know at this point about this search and where she could be?
Well, of course, Vinny, we know 2015 Independence Day weekend, July 3rd specifically, that is when Crystal Rogers was last seen with her then boyfriend, Brooks Houck, on that family farm. Now, Brooks Houck told investigators that they were on the farm with their son, having a great time. They then went home together. They went to sleep. He said the last thing he saw was Crystal playing games on her cell phone. Then he woke up the next day, which would have been July 4th, and Crystal was not there. Now, we go forward to July 5th. That's when Sherry Ballard, Rogers' mother, we just saw her there speaking. She says that's when she reported Crystal Rogers missing. Now, what's interesting about July 5th, Vinny, is that Crystal Rogers, that same day, her car was found abandoned on the 14-mile marker on the Bluegrass Parkway in Bardstown. And what makes it even more strange is that her keys were still in the ignition and her phone and purse were still in the car. And of course, Vinny, as we fast forward to October of the same year, 2015, that is when the Nelson County Sheriff states that Brooks Houck is indeed a suspect in this case.
Heather Cohen, private investigator, is also with us by phone. Heather, let's talk about initially the thoughts that everyone had. The car is found, her stuff is in the car, the engine's running. What were the initial thoughts that everyone had at that time?
Well, I think everybody straight out the gate suspected Brooks had done something nefarious. I don't think that was, you know, that with Sherry Ballard, and, you know, they knew something was wrong. The family knew something was wrong. I don't think that for 1 minute they believed that she had just run off and left her kids.
That's the part, right? When it's a mom and you've got children and young children, moms don't do that. It is against every instinct, every bone in their body to do that and leave their children. Their children are so important. Cody, where are the places that the searches have taken place?
Well, Vinny, there are a slew of places where the searches have happened over the years leading up to as recently as 2024, but we begin in 2016. In August, search warrants were executed at Brooks Houck's grandmother's home and garage, as well as the home of his brother, Nick Houck. And a few days after that, another search warrant was executed on the farm belonging to Brooks Houck's mother. So August of 2016 was a pretty big month for the searches. Then we fast forward to 2017, July. Another search is conducted by state police at Houck's grandmother's home. And Vinny, we fast forward again to 2020. Now, this is where the feds take over. The FBI takes over the investigation in August. Now, the federal agents went to the homes of the Houck brothers, Brooks and Nick, as well as the Houck family farm yet again. 2021, August, FBI and the Nelson County Sheriff searched the properties in Woodlawn Springs subdivision where Brooks Houck had built homes, because we know he was a successful property developer. Now, again, Vinny, I just mentioned September of 2024, our affiliate WDRB put out a search report stating this, quote, federal agents began searching 2 Nelson County properties Tuesday in connection to the 2015 disappearance of Crystal Rogers. The properties on Whitesides Road were both once owned by family members of Brooks Houck, who was charged in Rogers' murder. It continues to say, Vinnie, the Federal Bureau of Investigation is conducting the search on Whitesides Road, a rural residential road between Fairfield and High Grove in Nelson County. The FBI would not provide the exact location of the search, but it's being conducted on properties once owned by Anna Whitesides, Houck's grandmother, and Nick Houck, his brother, as recently as 2018, Nelson County PVA records show. Both properties were in the Houck family dating back to 1900, records show, but have since been sold off. So again, Vinnie, over the years that span from 2016 to 2024, probably up until now, the searches have been in a slew of different locations.
Heather Cohen, what are your thoughts? What does your gut tell you about where Crystal Rogers is?
Well, I think that considering that Brooks Houck's co-worker and father of co-worker were involved in this, I think that we're going to find more evidence on some of the properties and some of the places that the homes were being developed at the time that Crystal went missing. I would think, some concrete might need to be torn up. Some houses may need to be torn down. But I think that evidence, possibly her body could be buried somewhere in one of those properties, under one of those properties.
Okay, guests are staying with us. Up next, what do we know about the Houck brothers? I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation of the disappearance of a mother of 5, Crystal Rogers. Her father never stopped searching for her until he was shot and killed. Here's the story. In July of 2015, Crystal Rogers, a 35-year-old mother of 5 from Bardstown, Kentucky, vanished without a trace. Her maroon Chevy Impala was found abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway. It had a flat tire, but her personal belongings, including her purse and cell phone, were found inside. Suspicion quickly fell on her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, the last known person to see her alive. Despite being named a suspect, no immediate charges were filed. Tragedy compounded then when in November of 2016, Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, was fatally shot in the chest while preparing for a hunting trip on his property. That case remains unsolved, with authorities suspecting foul play. A significant breakthrough occurred in September of 2023 when Brooks Houck was arrested and charged with Crystal Rogers' murder and tampering with physical evidence. That arrest reignited hope within the Bardstown community and among Rogers' family for long-awaited justice. There are a lot of parts of this story, a lot of pieces of this story that are head-scratchers. There's other parts where you look at it and you say, wow. I'm going to show you one of those wows right now. So Brooks Houck is being questioned/interrogated by a detective. And while he's in the room, one thing you'll notice is sort of his attitude, a certain level of arrogance, I believe, but you can make your own determination. But while he's there, he gets a phone call from his brother. And he makes sure to stay on the phone with his brother while the detective is there. This is fascinating. I'll tell you what it reminds me of after you watch it.
We're still getting video from different places, that along that route. Can I get this? Sure. Can you come over? No. I'm up here. I know that you didn't know I'm up here in this interview with the Detective Snow. I've been up here a good little while. I
I'm filling out this statement here and everything. Are you telling me that's what I need to do? I know that. But the way that I look at it is, I'm innocent. I ain't done nothing wrong. What, you know? I know you told me innocent people got jammed up, but if you're telling me to leave, I'll get up and leave. If you want me to. I know I'm going through a lot, but I'm trying to get this guy to help me. I don't think she's ran off with some other guy. I don't believe that. You can't make me think that. No. Yeah, so do I. I'll do exactly what you're telling me to do right now. You want me to get up and leave? Man, I don't think these guys. I don't think these people are vindictive just to skin me for no reason. Man, this is not their family. This is not. All right, thank you. He thinks y'all are is what he thinks.
I don't know who he is.
Nick, my brother. No, I know that, but I'm not. He just said just to keep sitting up here, to give a statement, do an interview, whatever I got to do it. But he said, darn, just to keep just letting them just beat you to death over this right here. Just ask what you got to ask and let you know.
And you tell me.
You see what I mean, he knows more about this than I do.
Unbelievable, right? To me, it was like a really bad reality show, right? Where like there's a little bit of a script going on, outline of a script. Well, what should I do? Yeah, but they don't lock up innocent people, do they? To me, that was the feeling I got. Maybe that's just the way he is. I don't know. But that was his brother Nick who called him during his police interview / interrogation, which brings us to the next question in our investigation. What do we know about the Houck brothers? This is an important one in the investigation. Absolutely significant. Joining us, Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas and private investigators worked on the Crystal Rogers case. Heather Cohen is with us as well, joining us by phone. Cody, what can you tell us about the brothers and their relationship?
Well, Vinny, we'll break it down brother by brother individually here, and we'll start with Brooks. Now, we know he is a successful property developer. Now, I'll quantify some of his success here for you, Vinny. According to Kentucky State records, it shows that Brooks Houck owns 3 businesses and 83 properties in Nelson County, 66 of which are worth roughly $8.5 million. And those property values range from as low as $7,500 to upwards of $918,000 here, Vinny. And another thing to note about him, this is not his first time facing felony charges. In 2018, he was charged with felony theft, but he was later acquitted after a jury trial. He was accused of stealing roof shingles from Lowe's. Now, we'll move on to Nick Houck. Of course, that's Brooks Houck's brother, former Bardstown police officer. He was fired in late 2015. Actually, for that call we just listened to, they determined that was interfering and tampering with the case, Vinny. But something else to note about him. We talked about Crystal Rogers' father, Tommy Ballard, who was shot and killed approximately 16 months after Crystal Rogers was reported missing. So he got shot and killed around November 2016. And since then, prosecutors have alluded to the fact that the gun used to kill Tommy Ballard may have been owned by Nick Houck. Take a listen.
I will tell you, Your Honor, we're investigating the murder of Tommy Ballard that could potentially be related to this case. We are waiting for testing to come back on the firearm we believe was used to murder Tommy Ballard, a firearm that we purchased from Nicholas Houck, who was using a fake name when he sold the rifle. We know it's the same caliber. There's 5 criteria that they're looking at, and so far it's matched 4 of the 5 criteria.
So you heard there, Vinnie, using a fake name. Prosecutors already expected foul play in Tommy Ballard's death. That's not really helping Nick Houck's case there.
It's amazing. Heather Cohn is with us by phone, private investigator. Heather, it seems like Brooks' brother Nick has been in the middle of all of this investigation from the beginning, including the searches. And there you hear prosecutors alluding to a potential connection to the weapon they believe may have been used to kill Crystal's father. So he's in the middle of all of it, but he's also former law enforcement.
Vinnie, that's correct. I am really shocked that Nick has not been arrested yet. We know that Nick was a sniper, that Nick was an expert when it came to sniping, and that he would pack his own bullets. And actually had a machine where he made his own bullets. And I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly for all you gun experts out there, but I believe that's what they were looking for when they raided Granny's house back in 2016, I believe it was. We talked about that a little earlier. But Nick, I believe he was highly involved, not just in the phone call that he made to Brooks while he was being interrogated, but I believe he's involved in the crime as well. And I believe they have enough evidence to indict him on that, so I'm not sure why he hasn't been arrested yet.
Yeah, it's and you talk about the family. Shane Young, the special prosecutor in this case, also mentioned something else about the Houck family members, which I think made a lot of people's heads go, wow, I've never seen that before. Take a listen.
The defendant speaks in his motion about his loving support of his family. I completely agree. They've been supported, all recorded, secretly brought in recorders and recorded the grand jury. I've been practicing here, Your Honor, for 25 years in this state, and I have yet, ever, heard of anyone recording a grand jury.
Cody, this is unreal, right? So the grand jury's called, they're bringing in witnesses. Some of the witnesses are Houck family members, and they're all recording their testimony?
Absolutely, Vinnie. Like you said, that's a whole mind-blowing kind of concept. It seems like that should be 101, that you don't go in there and record that and then distribute it to the other family members. So it seems as if they were trying to do that in order to listen to it and get their own testimonies together for whenever they were subpoenaed and have to go in front of a grand jury.
Unbelievable developments in all of this. And again, it's a case that continues to churn in our system. Big thank you to Heather Cohen and, of course, Cody Thomas. Thank you so much. Still to come, what is Brooks Houck's story?
Confessing to a murder on camera.
We're here to try and understand the mindsets behind your actions in this case. It sounds like you lost control of yourself.
Not at all. No, not at all. I'm done with this interview.
That's so conniving. Do you understand that?
I'm your worst nightmare, David.
Interview with a Killer, a special 2-hour season premiere, Sunday, April 13th, only on Court TV.
What do you think?
I'm shocked. I do not know.
Brooks Houck. He is the one that prosecutors believe is responsible for the disappearance and murder of Crystal Rogers. She was his girlfriend. They had a child together. It was Crystal Rogers' youngest child. So he's also the last person to have seen her, to have been with her. Take a listen to part of what he says was going on and what he was doing the night before or the night of her disappearance.
And so do you remember, did you go straight home on Friday night, or did y'all stop somewhere? Or, because I'm thinking if that's their normal 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, it might be dinner time. Did you stop and eat something, or did you go straight home?
We did not eat anything. I went straight home.
So when you wake up, he's there, but Crystal's not.
She's not.
Nothing out of the ordinary. I woke up and she wasn't there. There's some more details here, and that brings me to the next question in our investigation, which is, what is Brooks Houck's story? When you peel it back a little bit more and you get into outside of the just general, we went home, nothing out of the ordinary, I woke up, she wasn't there. What's his story? What are some of the details here? Here with us to help analyze that story, jury consultant, human behavior expert, and body language expert, Susan Constantine. Susan, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So what I'm going to do is I have a few clips for you. We'll take a look at them together, and you let me know what you're seeing and hearing from him as he delivers his version of what happened to the investigator. Let's begin with the first clip.
Yeah, so the first...
Did you find anything Friday night when you were out there?
Yeah, yes, it's not uncomfortable. I don't want the stuff piled up to the moon. I always light a fire. There was a little pile, probably... I'll write that on there. Right here with this little pile here. I think y'all may have covered it up. Y'all got out there.
I think we did.
Slung stuff everywhere, but...
Yeah, I apologize.
It don't matter.
Well, the dog, that lady's dog, she said acted like there was something under there.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, Susan, there's a lot with this guy. The first thing that strikes me is just his posture.
Yes, and exactly. You're right on. You know, you've been doing this a long time too, Vinny, so you've kind of picked up some of the body language cues. So at the very beginning, the first one actually showed before this one, the display, the frontal display, where he kind of leans back, he's very comfortable, and he shouldn't be comfortable. I mean, his wife is missing. So the fact that he's not leaning forward, he's not engaged, is concerning to me. It's a sense of arrogance, lack of urgency, lack of concern. Then at the second, what he does say actually at this one here, he says, we did not go out and eat, or we did not eat. But then he drops the we to I. He says, I went home. So if I'm understanding this right, I had assumed that Crystal was with him, and then they didn't go anywhere to go eat. And then somewhere along the line, she drops off, and he just goes home. So that's concerning to me anytime I see a change in pronoun. We go to I, a real problem for me. The other thing is that he did too at the very first one. There was a mouth shrug, there was a hand shrug, there was an eye closure, all of forms of deception. This clip right here where we're looking at now is a change in his demeanor. His voice increases, his pitch increases, his rhythm, his speed increases, and also the volume increases. So why is that different? It's because it's different from his baseline. Anytime you see a shift in baseline, whether he's leaning forward or leaning back, you have to pay attention because you have to tie that into why did he lean forward. The other thing is what he does is he talks over the investigator. And this happens when somebody is thinking fast. So when they're thinking really fast, they're trying to get out what they're thinking and they blurt out. So he's talking over the investigator. So these are things that I look for when I'm watching an individual that I feel that may have deceptive indicators, and I want to see where it's coming from and tying it all together. So at this point in time, I'm seeing multiple indicators, multiple what we call pins, points of interest that are associated with deception, and it continues to play throughout the other videos as well.
Okay, we have another one here, and it's him describing himself as being shocked. So let's see how that plays.
What do you think happened?
I'm shocked. I do not know.
I mean, you told me that she doesn't do drugs.
She's not on any kind of drugs that I'm aware of.
She drinks socially.
Okay, mildly, yes, not any kind
of... 6, 8 weeks, something like that, right? Has she ever had trouble with depression before?
Not really, not to my knowledge.
So here, we've seen some defendants at this point go after the missing person a little bit more. And he's not doing that, though.
No, he's not doing that. And again, here's another indication where he doesn't have the right affect. So when he says, I'm shocked, this falls in what we call face anomalies. So what a face anomaly is when the facial expression doesn't emote that is according to the context of the baseline of that moment. So it's off. So the facial affect, the movements of the muscles in the face are not firing the way they should when you're saying, I'm shocked. Because when you're shocked, your eyebrows lift up, your eyelids lift up, that's shock. The other thing is there's no movement in his body. His body remains still. So it has a lot of rigidity. And rigidity, it falls underneath what we call the point of interest called tension. And when you're under tension, that's when you're trying to restrain a lot of emotion. You want to create this kind of like coolness about you, like you're not overly anxious. And so he's trying to control his body language. It's in that control is what's concerning. Again, emotions are not right. And also it says he doesn't recall, they don't remember. There tends to be this distancing, like a lot of vagueness about how he's answering the questions. All of these are all tied together in a package that is this is the reason why he was arrested. I mean, there's no doubt that this investigator saw the very same things, but except for he probably wasn't able to put all of the actual codings with those gestures as I can.
Let's take a look at one more clip, and here he is talking about the nature of their relationship.
Had you and Crystal ever talked about breaking up?
I mean, obviously we have fought just like any other couple, but in the last several years, I mean, it's came up, but we've always found ourselves together moving forward.
Moving forward? That makes no sense to me. Like, moving forward, where are you going? So again, the same thing, the rigidity, kind of laid back, very arrogant. I'm surprised he didn't put his hands behind his heads and, display, because of a sense of arrogance and kind of this false confidence, but he's cocky. The fact that he's kind of laid out and the frontal display is all showing out and it's like he's not worried at all. And then he's talking about the relationship, but the first thing that comes out of his mouth is a negative. It should have said, yeah, we've had a really good marriage, but yeah, along the lines, we had some bumps in the road, but nothing unusual or would have caused any issue. Yeah. But he goes right into the negative, because what people tend to do is they spill out the truth and they think that that is a way to make them look like they're more innocent. And actually, it makes it look more guilty.
Susan Constantine, great insight as always. Thank you so much. Folks, a trial is a search for the truth. And in this case, we may have 3 trials. But ironically, if there was at least one less trial, prosecutors might have more details about what actually happened here. That would require one of the defendants to roll over, take a deal, and become a state's witness. But that hasn't happened yet. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.